Hey everybody, and today we're going to focus on the Grey Knights again, but for this we're going to focus on some of the demon heads that they have. This is a Khorne bloodletter, but some of them may come with Slaanesh demonettes, or sometimes Nurgle definitely not Tzeentch, so without further ado, let's get started. For this I'm going to repaint this Khorne head, with this Khorne bloodletter head, so all you need is just to follow the step-by-step guide. So, for the head, we're going to base coat with Mephiston red. May seem weird, why not use Khorne red? But this is the proper color to use, even because it's a nice brighter skin tone. Let me just find a good brush. Oh, here it is. I'm going to take my size 0 flat brush. Okay, so for this, take some Mephiston red, put it on the palette. Thin it down with a little bit of water. And wherever you see the flesh on the bloodletter, you're going to put a base coat all over the head. So, for right here, we're going to paint this all over with Mephiston red. That includes the horns and everything else. Don't worry about the blood, we can fix that and we can paint that in just a minute. Also on the back of the head as well. Alright, there we go. Alright, now, while the paint is still wet, we're going to use a different color for the horns. For this, we're going to use, where is it? Oh, here it is. We're going to use a Abaddon black. So you may be wondering, what's the Abaddon black for? It's for the horns. So while the paint is nice and wet, we're still going to thin this down a little bit. Very little black because you don't need much. Maybe a little bit more. There we go. You can switch to a smaller brush if you want, but for this we're going to stick with this brush. So you're going to start on for the horns. You're going to start halfway, and the blend doesn't have to be smooth again it's not very smooth at all. Right here, about halfway up on the Khorne bloodletter. Bloodletter. All right, there we go. That's the horns. Okay, so with the horn now done, all we're going to do is we're going to start shading a little bit. Yes. Let me make sure the paint still is dry. So I'll have to wait a couple minutes. Never mind. We're going to focus on the blood. So for the blood, it may be a little risky doing like red on red, but for this, all you just need is a darker red. For this, all we're going to use for the blood is Khorne red. So, here we go. Check out the paint. Okay. Take some Khorne red. A little bit. Okay, so all we're going to do is going to base coat wherever you see the blood. So for this, right here. All over. Subtle, but don't worry, it'll be just fine. And if you can't really see it, that's fine, but look, it has like a subtle color differentiation. There we go. Alright, now that the skin is now dry, we're now going to apply a wash. For the skin, you could of course use Nuln Oil if you wish, but for yes, we're going to use Nuln Oil. This is the new Nuln Oil, so keep in mind that if you have the old Nuln Oil, that would be just fine. Okay. For this, since it's a kind of a bigger head, we're going to use a medium layer brush. So, for this, what we're going to do, take a little bit of wash, not too much, just a little bit on the palette because it's not a very big part of the model. So for this, you're going to base coat all over the head. You're going to shade it all over the head, including the horns, so that way it gets in recess and helps define all the facial features. There we go. That's that done. Now, while that is almost done drying, we're going to paint in the eyes, or the pupils. For this, we're going to use our very fine 5-0 brush. For this, all you need for the eyes is Averland Sunset. So, what we're going to do, so for this, make sure you don't have very little paint on the brush. For this, you're going to dot in the eyes. Just be very, very careful. And then grab a little bit of paint on my tip here. There we go. And now we're going to paint the teeth on the blood letter. It may not be very visible, but there actually is teeth. So for the teeth, all we're going to do is we're going to do a base. We're going to do a simple coat of flayed one flesh. You could of course use Screaming Skull, but the reason why I'm using flayed one flesh, it has a subtle darker tone to it. Take some flayed one flesh on the palette. Make sure you thin it down a little bit. Not much, because you don't need very much of this paint. So, what you're going to do is going to base coat the teeth. Alright, that's that done. Now for the last and final stage, we're going to start highlighting the face. So for this, all you just need is a lighter red. For this, we're going to use Evil Sun Scarlet. So, some Evil Sun Scarlet, put on the palette. You still need to thin it down, but not too much. Just move my paint pot out of the way. Oops. Mixed it with the Everland Sunset by accident. There we go. So, what we're going to do is we're going to start highlighting. For this, you want to focus on the ridges or wherever you see. Right here. On the brow. And wherever you see some of the edges or ridges, right here on the cheekbones, right here. Don't apply this to that because it will be like for the back of the head. And little ridges, and right here, and right here. And also on the back of the head. Alright, that is our corn head done. Alright, now, keep in mind, this is just a corn head, but also you can use the skin method for bloodletters if you run a Chaos Demons army. So, I really hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Bye-bye.